we're going to push back the deadline for the outlines, the formal outlines. They're due tonight, but I'm going to move it to next Sunday, and then we'll work on next week on delivering the speech. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because I have a good sample of grading, sample size that statistically the gradings that were done now will hold true for the rest of the outlines I get into grade. So, and that means quite a few people are in for low grades, and it's not difficult stuff to do. So, let me tell you how to fix it, how to make sure you get a good grade. First of all, this is a difficult assignment, so don't put it off to the last minute. If you put it off a day before or the day of the due date, you're going to be in for trouble. All right, so you won't be able to have time to do the outline properly. Now, I have some videos out that show you how to do it, and listen to what I'm saying in them very carefully because I'm giving you hints on what I'm grading, and I'm letting you know what we're looking for here and exactly how to do it. Also, watch that video again on front matter because I think I explained in there how to go out and do the research. Now, this is a research assignment, so you're going to have to find 3 outside sources that support your thesis. All right, so that's why you write the thesis first and the specific purpose first. The specific purpose is what you use to find your sources, and while you're reading your sources, you're looking for things that support your thesis. And then out of those, 5, 10 main things that support that thesis, you just pick 3 for the speech, and that becomes the body of your speech. All right, a couple things to watch for carefully. Now, make sure that you have the corrected front matter from the last assignment. I have some coming in that even though I graded it and I made corrections, they still gave me the old front matter. So their grade goes down right away. Second, we'll move into the attention getter. The attention getter must be a narrative. You cannot do a question or a series of questions. They're an honorable way to start a speech, and it's a proper way, but not for our purposes. I want you to get used to putting things in a little bit of narrative, small narratives, because that holds an audience's attention better than anything else. I mean, there's a reason the holy books are full of stories. They're called parables, okay, because it holds attention, the same thing, and they all make points. So that's what you're doing. You're making a point, then illustrating it with a story. Okay, so you do the attention getter with a story, a narrative. Then 2, you look at why is this important to the audience. This is where you persuade, actually. You're persuading the audience to listen to your speech, or that it's important for them to listen to your speech. So you put down just a couple lines. Some of you got it down perfectly and some not so much. So think of a reason why the audience should listen to you. Persuade them to listen to what you have to say about your topic. Right, and then the next part we go on, take that thesis there, you copy and paste it from the front matter. Take out the front matter, highlight it, copy it, and then paste it down in the thesis area there. All right, then don't forget to signpost your main points. Now, one thing, when you look at that template, you'll see I have everything is in bold, but some things are in italics and some things are not in italics. All right, if you see them in italics, that means you don't say them in your speech, right? That's components of the outline, and you don't say those in the speech. Now, if you see bold that's not in italics, that's part of your speech. I want you to say that line or that transition or that internal summary. All right, be sure to say that. Bold, no italics, you say in your speech. Bold with italics, you do not say in your speech. Okay, and then your outline cannot use bold or italics. All my template is bold and italics. All the stuff you put in your content is not bold or not italics. It's just regular type. All right, so let's see, where are we? Then we have the preview with the signpost, and then the transition. The transition, simply, let's get started with my next point. Okay, it's just very simple like that. Then be sure to have a point. Some people are putting main points in transitions. You don't do that. You have the transition there, and then you put your main point down. Don't run them together or say them twice. All right, I know, well, speaking of them, it might sound like it's right there, but in the outline, I want them separated so you know the difference between moving from one point to another and the main point. So you talk concept to concept to concept. Concept is, well, I'll explain that later. Okay. Okay, so Then you have your next main point, and then you have up there evidence, and then personal story, bullets. There's 4 bullets. Okay, one is evidence, personal story, then evidence, personal story. All right, so make sure your evidence must start out with the term according to. So the evidence comes from your 3 sources that you read, okay, and then you actually use them in your speech right there. But you use them according to. Put according to on your outline. Right, then the next part is your personal story, and just write the story. That's it. Okay, you don't have to cite again in the personal story. So basically what we're doing is point, evidence, example, point, evidence, example, point, evidence, example. Good way to hold an audience's attention. All right, so, and don't change my template one bit. Leave it all, copy it, paste it, and do not resist the delete button, okay? Leave everything in there. All right, so come down and you have the internal summary. Now, in the internal summary, I wrote blanks in there. So today I've talked about blank and blank. Now for my third and final point. Okay, my third and final point is now your transition, but I've talked about blank, so put in your first main point, okay, not in bold, okay? Then and blank, and then put in your second main point, not in bold. All right. Then now for my third and final point. That's it. Don't put what your point is there. You don't want to put your main point in the transition. That's the transition. All right. And then you put your main point 3 down. And then again, evidence story, or evidence example. So make sure all evidence starts with words according to. Then you go into the conclusion. It just says in conclusion there. It's in bold. It's not in italics. It's in conclusion. That's the transition. Don't put anything after that. Okay, then you got the thesis down there. Don't put anything before the thesis, all right? And then go back up to your introduction or your front matter, copy the thesis and paste it down there. It should be the same. And then you have your today I've talked about 3 things, or 3 points, or however you want to say it. And then you have first, second, and third, all right, with bullet points. Don't take those out. And now, and then so you give your example, which came from line 1 of the main point. Main point 1, then you put it down there for your first we talked about. Then you go to main point 2 and you take that and you put it for second, and then with example. Then you go to main point 3 and you put it down for third, and then you do an example for example. Then you have a tie down. Okay, now a tie down is a way to end your speech, and you do it with either a story that refers back to the thesis, a story that refers back to the main attention getter, or you have a quote or some words of wisdom to leave the audience afterwards. All right, so you have all those choices. Then you go down to your references, list of references in APA format. References is centered, and it's in regular type. It's not in larger type. It's not in bold. It's not in italics. It's not have a colon after it, and it's not a different point size than the rest of your paper. Then you list your APA bibliographies, list of references in alphabetical order. All right, and then I have an example of that in the template. Also, I gave a source of Purdue OWL to go look these up for APA. All right, I don't want to take up too much of your time here, but that's it. So we're going on Sunday for the deadline of this outline, so you can get better grades. And then I want you to start working on it slowly at a time. Get your sources, read them, and work on it a little bit every day rather than try to cram it all in one day, because you're just going to make too many mistakes. And I'm grading everybody equally, so you have to follow the instructions to get the proper grade. And not only that, if you follow the instructions, the speech will write itself. I several of them that I have graded, I could tell it just flowed together really nicely for them. Okay, and then other ones that I graded, probably a split. Okay, and I have a third of the assignments I graded of all the classes, so it's probably a split there in grades, either an A grade or a D or F grade over here. So there's a lot of mistakes being made, and they don't have to be. Just read the instructions, follow the instructions. Don't deviate. Don't try and add things. Don't say, well, I used to do this before, and you're not. We're learning the same way. We're learning the foundation. Okay, let's get a better grade. And those of you that turned them in that didn't get the grade that you desired, you got time to redo it. All right, till next Sunday. All right, talk to you soon. Bye.